Alright guys, hello, I'm back. I'm back. I have not entirely given up on this process video venture yet. It was so super frustrating. But you know, the more you know, the more you know. So the more I do it, the more that I learn, and hopefully this will not be a disaster. So I did a few process videos for the cards that I made last week. I haven't shown this one yet, but I made this card and this envelope. This card is actually probably my favorite. This card and this envelope. This one, I don't know, this one's pretty cute too. I can't decide. This card and this envelope. This card, I can't show you the envelope because I don't want the recipient. I'll show you part of the envelope because I already put the name of who I'm going to give this to. So that's the top of the envelope and the left side and the bottom. I'm not going to show you the whole thing because it's going to somebody and I don't want to spoil the surprise. So making those cards, you guys are so super sweet and commenting and oh, you're so talented, oh, these look great. You guys are great, super supportive, and I really appreciate that because I do read your comments. There's not very many because it's just with my friends and family, but you guys are super awesome and encouraging, something that I like to do. So one of those people is my sister-in-law, Dolores. Hi, Dolores. And she makes cards also, and they're super cute. But she said, I wish I could make cards like you. I want to learn how to make cards like you. No. Everybody makes things their own way. Everybody does things differently. And we all have our own style. We all, like different things. Sometimes we like to spend hours on something. Sometimes if it's 15, 20 minutes and it's longer than that, you're done. Everyone's different. But what I did point out to Dolores, and I kind of wanted to make a little video about it today, is that sometimes when I sit down to make a card or even a scrapbook layout, I have no idea what I want to do. So sometimes I'll put everything out, pull everything out, play with it, move it around, and that's probably the longest part of it, is just trying to figure out where to start. But sometimes I don't even know where to start. And that's where, when you're not feeling inspired or you don't have an exact idea in mind, sketches are a fantastic thing. So what I wanted to show you guys today is I pointed Dolores in this direction of pagemaps.com. Becky Fleck has had this site since 2006, so 14 years, and she's been in the industry for way longer than that. I don't know her personally, but I admire her creativity and everything that she does in the industry, but also, as a person, I think she's a fantastic human being. Anyway, pagemaps.com is where you can go to find scrapbook sketches, and there's different sizes. I know there's 12 by 12 and 8.5 by 11. I'm not sure if there's anything other than that, possibly. But something else that she has is a card map. So these come out every quarter, and you can go to the site, and you can download the PDFs. That's what this is here. So this is from July this year. I printed out all the way back to January of 2018. But each quarter you get something a little different. And I mean, these are really good. You don't have to follow them exactly. You can follow them exactly if you want. I don't know if you can see that or if my camera's focusing. But it just gives you a very basic, here's a card. It's going to be horizontal in nature. You can put whatever elements you want here. It doesn't have to be hearts. It doesn't even have to be that pattern paper with the arrows on it. It just depends what you want to do. What you can also do with a sketch is you can flip it around. So let's say I really like that, but I don't want to do a horizontal card. I'll turn it around and do vertical, and it works that way too. So I wanted to kind of show you guys the card maps. These are the ones, like I said, I printed out, and I'm going to put those. I usually just, honestly, I do a punch here and I hang them on a ring, and then I have hooks over here which I keep stuff on. But if you go to the website, and I pulled this up on my my Kindle, If you go to the website, and you might not be able to see that, but there's a card, and then there's somebody's interpretation right to the right of it. And you can print these out. You can print the page if you go to the site. But I mean, it's pretty cool. You can see what somebody else did with it. And then there's the rest of them. These are from April of this year. These are the rest of them that don't have a sample counterpart, because there is a whole design team that actually makes these cards. I'm trying to, oh, there we go. So you can see out of that sketch, that's what Audrey Petit, I'm not sure how to say that last name, came up with. And maybe you want to do it exactly like she did, or maybe you want to change the color scheme, but it's all open to your interpretation, what you want to do. In addition to that, so this is an old magazine. This is from 2011, but it's a cards magazine that used to be in publication, Scrapbooking of Cards. But in this publication are all these cards, and sometimes if I have my page maps and I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, you know, I don't know, I really need to see something more than just what's in black and white, I pull out one of my old issues of my cards magazines, and a lot of these I have like flagged with like the little post-it note flags, or just post-it notes, because I write notes. I like the color scheme. I like, I don't know, maybe some of the elements. I like the use of ribbon. I'll make little notes to myself. And I wanted to point that out because Dolores had surgery on her right. Sorry, Dolores, if it was your wrist or your hand, but she's still recovering, and she's not able to use, she's not able to create like she wants to. But in the meantime, she can still pull out some sketches, maybe put some of her little crafty products together, and then clip this in front of it and mark what she wants to make. Or she can go through, you can look on Pinterest, you can pin different card ideas, you can't really find a lot of magazines nowadays, but, you know, there's many different things to do besides, you know, I'm still recovering, I gotta take care of my hand, but I really want to make something. Well, you can be creative and do the creative part, so when you are healed, you can make something. In addition to that, I also subscribe to, I'm just going to grab one, Scrapbook and Cards Today. This is a Canadian publication. You can buy this actually you can go on their site and you can get a subscription. It's a quarterly subscription, so you only get 4 magazines a year. This is the spring 2019. But what I wanted to show you, and let me see if I can find the website. I know it's on here somewhere. So you don't have to actually subscribe, like, you know, oh, here we go, scrapbookandcards.com. So you can subscribe and get, you know, an actual physical magazine mailed to you 4 times a year. And I think it's pretty inexpensive. I think it's like 30 or 35 bucks, which isn't bad for the whole year. Or if you go to their site, scrapbookandcards.com, you can download the current issue. So, and, you know, I'm not going to waste ink printing that stuff out, but if I want to download it and maybe put it on my Kindle or download it to my laptop, and I can look at it when I have time to do that, you know, it doesn't cost you anything but the time and the space on your device. So something else I wanted to point out in this magazine is they also do, I should have marked this before to save some time, so they also give sketches. So here's a sketch, and then here's the interpretation of this artist, Tegan Squiet, what she did with this sketch. And this is a interpretation of this sketch by Nicole Martel. And here's all the page maps, which is what I just mentioned, pagemaps.com. There's the one at the beginning. There's not a whole lot of card. Oh, here we go. I'm sorry. Here's a card one right here. And there's the sketch. But there's 2 very different interpretations of the card. Like, you can definitely see how it's represented in each one. But this one's very floral and pink and kind of girly, and the ribbons over here on the right. This one is also floral, but it's more graphic. It's brightly colored. There's this beautiful, very large sentiment here in the middle, whereas this one's a little more understated. So go check it out. Scrapbook and Cards, scrapbookandcards.com. Yeah, scrapbookandcards.com. I love this publication. Also, I think it's one of the very few remaining publications that's papercraft or scrapbook related, which is what I like to do. So, that being said, go out and get some inspiration. Don't just, oh, I don't feel like it. Like when it's late and I go to bed at night, I'm looking at these. And I save the ones that, I have tons of old magazines. Well, not tons. I did throw a lot away. Or I'll pull this one out and I'll go through and I'll mark it with little sticky notes. So I'm like, oh, next time I'm like in a slump or want to make something and I don't know where to start, I grab this guy, I flip to the right one, or flip to the first page that I marked, and off to the races. So, with that in mind, I'm going to actually use one of these card maps sketches and make a card. I'm going to definitely use this foiled, the Deco Foil bubbles that I did last week with the shattered glass foil, which is so, oh my gosh, you guys, it's so pretty. I can't even nothing does this justice. It's so cute. But I'm going to use that, and I think I have decided on using this sketch right here with these little owls. I don't know how to focus this camera, but it's kind of what makes me upset about it. See, it doesn't like autofocus. Like, focus! Focus! I might use my cell phone to record the rest, but I'm going to use these little owls as my sketch down here. And my papers, I've decided on this line. The reason why is it does have these cutesy little owls, but I'm not going to use those. The reason why is it does have these little birds, which I like the little birds. I've got a couple sets of cardstock stickers. I've got some letter stickers. These little, like, kind of remind me of postage stamps. A lot of elements that I think will lend itself really well to that card. I'm not going to use these die cut sheets. But this is the whole collection. And this is Lovebirds by Fancy Pants Design. They're not around anymore either. Or if they are, they've rebranded themselves. But this is from 2010, because, yeah, y'all know I got a lot of old stuff in my stash. But what I really like about this line is the polka dots, because I think it'll match well with this, or coordinate well. And these cutesy little birds, like, oh my gosh, they're just so adorable. I do have a couple fish. I might maybe use the sketch with the fish and the bubbles. But what I was kind of thinking, because there's three circles here, 1, 2, 3, with these little owls in the middle of them. I have 1, 2, 3 birds here. I have these flowers I could cut out of this sheet. I'm just not sure yet. Oh, there's another die cut sheet that I probably won't use. And I made a card before because there's pieces cut out. Oh, that's a different line. Huh, you don't go here. But there's lots of fun papers. I mean, I have a lot to choose from. And that's just the first side. That's just one side. But wait, there's more. I've got all of this too that I can choose from. So the yellows, the reds, that kind of teal blue. Polka dots make me super happy. Who doesn't love polka dots? If you don't love polka dots, we can't be friends. But what I also was looking at is because these dots are kind of big and bold, and I don't really want them to compete with the foil bubbles or polka dots, if you can think of them that way. I really like this border piece, which is also polka dotted. And it's die cut. It's kind of die cut with a scallop. I don't know if you can see that. So, I don't know. I've got some options. I'm going to probably finalize what I want. Yeah. I gotta finalize some stuff, make some decisions, and I will come back and we'll do the best part, which is the creative part of the process. So join me for next time, or join me for the next video, which will be added to this one, and we'll go from there. Bye. Hi guys, we're back. I'm trying to get this card done that I had picked papers out in the video before, using this really cool foil bubbles with that rainbow, shattered rainbow, which is so pretty. So I decided to go with these fish because they have little bubbles and I thought it would be cute. This was a huge fail last time I used my Silhouette to try to cut a shape out, because of the foiling, the blade moving back and forth completely messed it up. So we're going to try it again. I've already got my image loaded here on my laptop to my right. It's already ready to cut. I'm going to go ahead and hit send, and we will pray. I've adjusted my blade like I didn't do last time, and we're going to hopefully see these little fishies get cut out really nice. It is a little loud. Okay, so that was a fail. I'm not going to do this again. It did cut out my heart, but it did not even touch both of the fishies, even though it went over. And I probably could ratchet my blade down again. I could put it through another pass, but I'm over this. I'm going to fussy cut these little fishies out, and I'll be back. Okay, guys, we're back. I fussy cut my little fishies out here. The little hearts over here, I think. So we're going to, I need to back this bubble stuff, and I tried red, I thought black initially. I decided to go with this yellow. This is from the same line, and I like this sentiment at the bottom, so I'll probably use this for the matting for my bubble panel, and then probably cut this guy out and use that for part of the sentiment on the front. I'm breaking out the big guns today with my Caterpillar. I had this for a really long time, and I remember I was so excited to get it, and because it was on back order for like 3 months, and then when I finally did get it, I was like, okay, great, and that's all I used. But I feel like you always have to have the right tool for the job, which is why I have 5 trimmers. This one is like the big Mama Jamma, and I have to keep it hung on the wall because it's huge. Okay, so we've got that trimmed out. So here's kind of where my mind is going. We've got our card panel, got our little fishies, but then, because I like the bubbles, I grabbed some dies that I have, and I was kind of thinking maybe this way. Anyway, something like this. Cut these out of, I'm not sure what color papers, and then my little fish in the middle. And then I wanted to do, where's my sequins? I have some sequins in different colors. I'll probably use the silver, but I thought, let me just open this up. Look how pretty that is. So I thought I could do some of these. Maybe the blue, I'm not sure. Just, you know, make them a little, stand out a little more. Just kind of something like that. And then the heart would go right here. So that's kind of, you know, I don't like the teal. I think I'd probably just stick with the silver because I think that's kind of a common, or not common, but everything, I think it'll go better with the rest of the bubbles. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm going to cut these circles out, kind of see where I am. I want to anchor these two little fishies in the middle, but I'm not sure if that's going to work, and I might just go with a paper strip across the middle. I don't know. I'm still working it out, but I'm going to go cut out my circles, and I will come back, and we'll go to the next step. Okay, so I've put my circles through the first pass of the my little Cuttlebug die cut machine. They come out as solid circles, and I want them to be open. Okay, so at this point I realized as I'm reviewing the video, I lost all of my audio. It's just like a staticky noise. I have no idea what happened. So right here I'm running through my circles and cutting the center out, and I'm going to take the top off and peel away the washi tape that I have. I relocated my roll of blue painter's tape that I use when I do die cuts, or when I'm using my die cut machine, and I lost it again. So, or it got removed from my room unbeknownst to me. So I'm using just a real cheap washi tape that I picked up, I think at the Target dollar spot. It's not the best stuff, but it'll work in a pinch. So I'm running through the circles to cut the inside out in my Cuttlebug, and just taking the plates apart to see what we got. So this tape, like I said, it's not very high quality washi, and it does kind of tear when you peel it off the paper. And I think I point that out at some point, but just separating out those larger circles, or rather the outline of the circle. I didn't want a complete whole circle. So I'm separating those out. Yeah, you can see the tape is definitely sticking and ripping on the one side of those circles, but it's also, this is a pretty heavyweight cardstock, 110 pounds, so it took a couple of passes through the Cuttlebug to get the, to cut the circles, the inside of the circles out. So I'm just left with rings instead of a circle. So putting all my stuff aside, I'm going to put this away, which is the shelf above my head, and the Cuttlebug also lives on the shelf above my head. Putting our plates away. I have to have a tidy workspace. So now, excuse me, I'm going to lay out the black circles, which I thought the black would work because the little goldfish, or the little fishes, are outlined in black, and then their little white eyes, obviously, with the black pupils. So I'm just kind of fussing around and laying this out and trying to decide. Well, I want my fishies right there. So, and then the little heart, that the only thing they did cut out from the pick scan with the silhouette. So I'm kind of looking at it and I'm debating and deciding to come back and see what I finally decide on. And we're back. So I've decided to ditch the circles. It was too much black. It was way too heavy. So I'm putting those to the side. I'm going to save them because I can definitely use them for another project, but it just was not working for this project. I'm tidying up again. And looking at the card, I did find a couple of items that I thought would work. The heart that you see in the yellow, that I found that canvas heart that I'm looking at, or that I have in my hands now, along with this very metallic silver tag. And I like the way that they look together on my card, but the color scheme was not right. That heart is canvas. You peel it off and you stick it onto your card. It's just not the look I was going for. So what I did end up doing is tracing that canvas heart onto the yellow pattern paper, and then tracing out, which I'm showing you now. And the yellow pattern paper that backs the card is the same pattern. And then I took the silver tag and I traced it out of a light blue polka dot paper. And you can't see in the video very closely, but the girl fishy on the right hand side has little very subtle polka dots on her skin. Yeah, skin. And I wanted to kind of replicate that and bring that through. So then I have this huge bag of sequins, And I about died about 16 times. Yeah, I'm explaining. I died about 16 times trying to open it because I was afraid it was going to explode everywhere. It didn't, and I just dumped it into a tray. It helps me kind of sort through. So what I ended up doing is taking those little small pieces of sequins and gluing them to some of the dots on my card. I'm trying to zoom in, which doesn't work because I'm never using this camera again. I like it because it has a remote, but the focus is absolute garbage. So I'm very carefully picking up the card because I don't have those sequins glued down. And you can see how on the top with the pink and the red and the orange and the yellow, I really kind of wanted to highlight some of those bubbles and add that extra element with the sequins and give a little bit of dimension. So the bottom, I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with the tag. I definitely want to do twine. I'm not sure if I'm going to use yellow or the black, which you can see to the left of my workstation. I definitely want to do the hearts. That little cutout heart I end up losing. I'm not sure where it went. But I'm kind of like, there's the yellow twine and the black twine that I want to put on the edge of the tag. I'm probably going to use, or I'm thinking at this point of using the gold glitter hearts and the little epoxy hearts that I have. But I'm just kind of determining like my color scheme, my flow, which colors I want to bring back and introduce into my project. So we will be back. Okay, and we are back. Moving on to the next step, I'm determining where I'm going to put my sentiment, and this is going to be a birthday card. So I've decided to go with the stamp, and it says birthday wishes. So I need to stamp that sentiment on my card, but I also need to consider my little fishies. I'm showing here, they weren't really popping off the card, so I used my Nuvo glitter drops in, I think it's called Silver Moonbeam or Silver Moonshine, and I outlined my little fish in that gold glitter. So before, and I did adhere. I adhered the sequins, and I also outlined the heart and that tag with the same Nuvo drops because I just wanted everything to really pop. So I'm thinking of, I definitely need to figure out where I want to stamp my sentiment that my little fishies are not going to overlap my sentiment, at least as much as possible. And right here I realized I had a little boo-boo. The Nuvo drops skipped while I was going along, and I did not record that part because it does take a little bit of precision and patience. I didn't think you guys wanted to watch me for 5 minutes putting Nuvo drops on the edges of my elements. So now I'm probably pontificating because that's what I like to do. So trying to figure out at this point, I'm going to have to stamp where my stamp is going to go. And the wishes part on the bottom of the stamp, it says birthday in a script and wishes in kind of a block format. I'm actually changing the sentiment to be birthday fishes because haha, why not? I think it's super funny and, or punny and cute. So I'm stamping my sentiment, my big head in the way, sorry, but I have to really push down and get a good impression. And I actually did it really, really well on the first time, which sometimes doesn't happen. So I'm cleaning my stamp there, putting that stuff away. And then I'm going to start and put my fish on my card and continue building out that sentiment. And I'm sorry, my head's in the way. I thought I had put my camera at a better angle, but I tend to pull my work forward towards me, and that's why my head's in the way. Definitely next time I'll obviously I did reposition the camera, but it's not where it needs to be. So now I'm just kind of trying to figure out where I want my little fish. I already had put pop dots on the back, so that's what I'm peeling off here. And always, always, always save the negative pieces of your pop dots. You can see that there. They look a little funky on the back of your elements, but they're on the back. Once you stick them down, nobody's going to be able to tell. It just gives you a nice uniform lift of whatever element you're applying those to. And sometimes those little buggers are hard to peel off the back, so I'm struggling a little bit with this. but I finally get the last piece off. And then the film that you peel off sticks to your fingers because of the static, and it's super annoying. So I'm sticking down my fish here. The tail of the little girl fish or the female fish is kind of hanging over my sentiment a little bit, but I can't really move the fish over to the left much further or they hang off the card. So there's my birthday wishes, which I'm going to change. I've got my Nuvo drops on the fish. I've got it on my tag. I've got it outlining the heart. And now I need to move on to, let's see, what am I, oh, I'm gonna finish out. So this is the set that I used. It's from Stampin' Up. I haven't bought Stampin' Up stamps in well over 10 years, but the ones that I do have are like pretty tried and true basic stamp sets that I use. That stamp set I really love because it does have, I think, 8 different sentiments, which are very helpful when you're making cards. So I'm pulling out some, I want to change that birthday wishes to birthday fishes. I set that aside, sorry. Now I'm deciding which kind of twine I want. I was going to do the black, but it's too heavy, it's too much black, and I just want a touch of that. And it's competing with my sentiment, which is stamped in black. So I'm just going to make a quick bow with my yellow baker's twine. And here in a minute, I'm going to turn the camera off and go to the next segment because my son's texting me. He's about ready to go to work, and he's complaining that it's hot outside and is trying to get a ride, which I ended up not giving him. Long story there, but he definitely tries to play everything for what it's worth. So I'm trying to just get my bow tied here. I'm distracted by my son, and I'm just like, forget it. Let me pause and move on because I know he's not going to stop texting me. Even though he's literally in the next room. So funny how teenagers are. So I've gone ahead. Here I am looking at my watch like he's got to leave for work soon, which is kind of a relief because I want to focus on what I'm doing. So I already tied my bow and attached it to my card. And I've put at the bottom, and you can't see really well on camera, but these are the stickers that I use, these letter stickers to spell out the word fishes, but I had to put it over the wishes of the original stamp. These are pretty old product. They're by Memory Makers, which I'm not even sure if they're still in business today, but I still own a lot of their products because they were a great company, had many different very cool things. So you can see here I've got my birthday fishes, my little colored letters that were in the muted red, yellow, blue, green, orange, kind of matching the color of the fish and really complementing that, but also not really competing with the bright and shiny elements, the deco foil, and the sequins that I put on there. So the Y of birthday ended up being covered by the S, the E and the S of wishes or fishes after I put those letter stickers on. So rather than trying to re-stamp that over the wishes or fishes sentiment, I just took my pen and I hand drew the tail of the Y so that you could still see it, obviously read it, and not have to try to re-stamp, because every time I try to re-stamp something like just by eyeballing, I mess it up and I get super frustrated. So right here, I'm just kind of taking a look, you know, I think I'm done. And at this point I say, you know what, I'm done, I'm moving on to the envelope. Which we're onto the envelope, but what I realized is, yes, I thought I was done, but I added a couple more elements to the card. I'm not going to discuss that right now. I will in a minute, but I added to the title. Here we go. I added to the title, or the little hearts that I wanted, like looking like little bubbles coming up from the fish. I ended up adding those, which I had planned on doing earlier. And I also added best to the top of birthday fishes because it just seemed like it wasn't really saying anything. So in the same letters that I used for fishes, I put best, and fishes, and then birthday is in the middle. And then I used some of my iridescent gems because I wanted to pull in that kind of green and blue, but I only had green and blue, and when I put a purple gem on there, it was just out of place. So the iridescent ones picked up the blue-green from the bottom of the card, and I put those in a visual triangle around the sentiment to the right. So the front of the card is done. What I also forgot about is I needed to put this on a blank, because the back of that card was all pattern paper. There's no way I could have written on it and you wouldn't have been able to read it. So I cut out just plain white cardstock, or actually was textured white cardstock, made the base of my card, and then attached that panel with the little fishies on it to the front. So we're moving on to make our envelope. And I found this paper, excuse me, that looks kind of like seaweed, I guess. But there's little, it's blue, but there's little bubbles in it. So it reminded me of being under the ocean. And because I'm using the fish, I thought I would definitely carry through that theme. And this piece of paper I've had for probably 15 years. Once upon a time, and actually the big box stores, Joann's, Michael's, even Hobby Lobby, have the big paper packs that you can get, however many sheets of paper for a pretty good price. So back in the day, and I think Michael's was the first one to start it, you used to be able to get like 150 or 200 sheets of pattern paper, which is, it's white on the back, but you could get, if the packs went on sale for they were usually $20, you can get them on sale for $10 each. So it was a really good value, but some of the papers, definitely not my speed, definitely not my style anymore. But I keep them. I keep them because that 12 by 12 size is perfect for when you have to make an envelope. And I don't always make envelopes. Sometimes the card blanks that I use come in a size that I want to create my card in. But when I do a 6 by 6, or in this case, it's a 5.5 by 5.5 size card, I need to make my envelope because I don't have an envelope blank that I'm working from, which usually comes with a set of envelopes to coordinate. So using these pattern papers is very, very helpful because they're nice and thin. They have lots of fun colors, and you can just chop off the pieces you don't need and use it for an envelope in a pinch. So I'm kind of looking over how I'm going to decorate my envelope. Again, I didn't use a whole lot of pattern paper on this card, so I don't have a whole lot of scraps to choose from, but I do have these stickers. These ones are kind of a little cutesy and kind of cartoony, so I probably won't use those in decorating my envelope. A couple of them are very general, but this is kind of a Valentine's themed paper set, so I'm probably not going to use these. I am kind of debating. There's a couple that I maybe could use, but I also have that one sheet of pattern paper that I put to the side, and I'll show you here in a minute. Oh, I got to move these sequins because I'm so terrified. I'm just going to dump them all over the floor. So the way that I make I'm going to put everything off to the side. The way that I make my envelopes is with the Martha Stewart Crafts envelope maker. I bring out my Caterpillar Pro, my big Mama Jamma. This is the beast of all the trimmers that I have, because I need to cut a 10 by 10 piece from my 12 by 12 piece of paper. Another reason why don't get rid of those old paper packs, because they're 12 by 12 and you can, in a pinch, cut down an envelope to the size that you need using a piece of paper that you already have on hand. So I'm just cutting this out. 10 by 10. I cut it down the side and realized it didn't really cut very well on the first pass. So I flip it over because I didn't get a square cut. I was a little upset by that because I'm making an envelope and it kind of has to be a square cut. If it's not square, it bothers me. So I'm putting my pattern pieces up there in my little tray. Putting the giant Caterpillar Pro back because she's heavy. And bringing out my Martha Stewart envelope maker. So I always screw this up the first shot, and I line it up in the center at the top, which you're not supposed to do. So I'm just kind of talking, when you score with very thin pattern paper, be very careful, because if you score too hard when you fold it, it will cause a tear or like a perforation. So here I am at the top, there's my center, and I'm getting ready to score this, or I'm looking at the dimensions on where I should score left, right, top, and bottom, and then realize, oh, Demi, you did it wrong. You do this wrong every single day, every single time, and I have to adjust the left corner underneath my left hand, and that's my starting point. And then I have to go over I believe this one was 3 3/4, and score. on the left. And I'm going pretty slow because I want to make sure that my scoring line stays in that track and I don't jump off and score or jump over and score something else. So I'm just double checking my measurements, and I really like the Martha Stewart envelope maker because it does list the measurements right up there on the top left. You can see it. It's a grid and tells you what size card and what size envelope you're going to need. So it's pretty handy to have. And again, I'm just scoring. That's my third side, and again, I'm going to score my fourth side. And I'm being very gentle in scoring this because I don't want to rip that paper. So putting my envelope maker aside, now I'm going to start to fold. And grab my bone folder. I'm sorry my head's in the way. Oh my gosh, you guys, I really got to figure out this camera angle. You know you like to see my messy bun and all the grays in my hair. So I'm just folding left, right, top, bottom, folding the sides to make my envelope. And my envelope is going to be a little bigger than my card. My card is 5.5 by 5.5, but my envelope is 6 by 6. So I have about a 1/2 inch of space all the way around my card, but I wasn't going to mess with measurements and trying to figure out what would work the best. I just made a 6 by 6 envelope and it'll be fine. It will hold my card and that's all I want. So here you can choose to do this if you please. When you score your envelope, it does overcross each other right here and makes like this teeny tiny little triangle. You can cut those out if you want to. You don't have to. It just makes it kind of fold nicer and you don't have that little bit of a lip at the top of your envelope. So now I'm going to proceed to put my envelope together, and I do it wrong. You're not supposed to start with the bottom flap. You're supposed to start with either left or right first, and then the bottom flap adheres over the top of those, and you will see why here in a second. It looks very ugly. So I realize my mistake and then go, oh no, I did that wrong. So I'm just going to try to fix it, trim off that little piece, and make it not look quite so terrible. But it looks kind of terrible. So I always use my corner rounder and I round that very lip of the envelope. I just think it looks a little nicer and more finished. But then I see when I initially cut this paper on my trimmer, I didn't quite get a good pass through the second time in trying to make it square. So I'm just trimming off that edge because it is like a white edge. And there I'm trying to peel it up thinking maybe I can fix it and do it the right way on the bottom, but it's too late. There's already adhesive on the top of the bottom flap, and I'd have to start over and create a new envelope in order to fix it. And I'm just going to let that pass and I'm going to move on. So my envelope is done and now I'm ready to decorate. So I'm showing you here that I still have a 1/2 inch clearance all the way around, top, bottom, left, right, 1 inch on either side. So my card is smaller than my envelope, but I'm not going to bother with it. It doesn't bother me that much. And I'm pretty sure the person that I give it to isn't going to say, well, you know what, your envelope's too big. It's just something that sometimes you got to let things go and not let it bother you. So now I'm going to get started on trying to put my tools away. So I always lose my bone folder. So there's a dedicated space on a shelf behind me where I put it so that I know I don't lose it, because I can't tell you, I've lost that dang thing at least a dozen times. Okay, so I'm getting ready to decorate my envelope. And I'm pulling out some of the supplies that I had stacked over to the left. Some of them I didn't use on this card, but I always keep them out just in case I want to use them when I'm finished making the card and I'm ready to make my envelope. You never know what you have sitting there that you could be able to use. So I'm looking for the little scrap piece of paper, the yellow one. Yep, there it is. And I'm not going to use the yellow, but the back side of that yellow pattern paper has a lot of really cool like bannered strips. And I think they would lend themselves perfectly to decorating the outside of my envelope. So I'm going to go ahead and start to cut so that yellow and blue strip right there. I think that would look really nice to start as a base on my envelope. And I'm just going to line it up on my other trimmer here. This one's a little more lightweight, but doesn't cut as well. And then I stop myself and go, you know what? I think I'm going to add those hearts, because I really like that heart strip too. So I'm just kind of looking at it and matching it up to the blue and seeing if it would clash too much or if it might work. So I'm going to cut here on the left to include those polka dots, which I really loved, but I didn't end up including on the card itself. But I do want to include that on the envelope. So now oh, here we go. Now I'm like, oh, I'm going to cut it to include the yellow and blue strip. And then, you know what? I really kind of like those hearts, but do I want to cut them so they look like a scallop? Or do I want to cut them so it actually is a heart? And I'm kind of auditioning that over on the envelope and decide to use the whole strip of hearts. And if it doesn't work, we'll cut the strip of hearts off. So quick slice back and forth and putting our scraps to the side, putting our trimmer to the side. You guys should see to the left, I have another desk and I just pile stuff. There's so much stuff on there when I'm making something. So now I really like the polka dot scallop strips, but I think it's just too much going on. Same thing with like the little bullseyes, or the way that they're cut, they look like rainbows. It's just too much going on from that cardstock sticker sheet. So I'm just going to adhere my little strip of wonderful colors and then trim the bottom. And we're going to start from there. You got to start somewhere, right? I'm going to chop that bottom off and then re-adhere that very bottom piece. Perfect. Okay, stick it down. All right, so I'm still not quite sure what I'm going to do with this sticker sheet, but I know I want to use it. I like those polka dots. And I'm like, you know, I really like this heart. Do I want it? And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it and we're going to go from there. So I just plunk it down and we're going to figure it out from there. Because I like that blue. It has a couple little flourishes of red and yellow. But it's not really standing out against that blue envelope background. So I grab my pen, my Martha Stewart's Crafts black, I think 0.5 pen, and start outlining my heart. I've had this pen set. It's a whole set. I think there's 5. I've had it for a lot of years and it's finally starting to crap out on me. And I sometimes, or actually almost every time, have to go over what I'm writing or what I'm outlining with this pen multiple times, which is what I'm doing here because it skips. So I think this pen set is near the end of its life and I'm just going to have to throw it out. So I toss it away. I'm a little disgusted. But I'm going to just build from that heart with the other elements that I have on my cardstock sticker sheet. And I think maybe those little photo corners are super cute, but nah, they're cute, but they don't work very well. So I'm going to put those back on the backing and try to find something else I like. So I believe I grabbed this little heart. Yeah, it says love you. And this is a birthday card, so I don't want to get too into the Valentine's theme, but I do like that little heart that says love you. It's pink. It has kind of some swirls and flowers on it. And the love you is like really super small text. So I grabbed that. I outlined it in the black because I want to match. And I need something right in that spot. Something to balance this out. So I grabbed the little flower from the same cardstock sticker sheet and I outlined that in black as well. Because why not? Want to be consistent. And I really like the way this is looking, but I know I'm not done. So I'm kind of hemming and hawing. I'm going to grab my jewels and I'm going to decorate the mess out of those polka dots on the left hand side. So some of my jewels are pretty sizable and I'm just going to grab like not the biggest one, but one of the bigger ones, and just try it out, see what I think. And I love it. So I'm like, okay, that's the one I'm going to use. I'm going to grab my Ultra Bond glue, which this stuff is super awesome. It dries incredibly clear. So if you use a little too much, and it's very easy to use too much of glue because you have to really gauge how much you're going to need once you put your embellishment down, because it's going to squish the excess around. It does dry clear. I put it kind of haphazardly on these dots because I didn't want the little gems centered. I wanted them kind of offset in different directions as I went down this panel, just to add a little bit of whimsy and a little bit of fun, because it is a birthday card. Birthdays are happy occasions. So I'm grabbing my gems and just kind of placing them where I randomly placed the Ultra Bond glue that I just used. And it doesn't take me long to do that because the bigger gems are easier to pick up. The smaller gems are the little pains in the ass. Like they're just, like, you got to chase them sometimes. So I'm just making sure I position that last one. I think I'm on my last one. Last two. And just adding them because I really wanted that super sparkly, super pretty kind of element to my card. And I'm using the black side of that tool is like the pickup tool. It's kind of waxy, and then the other side is like a very thin, almost looks like a mechanical pencil without any lead, and I just use that to kind of position finally where I want my gems. I'm showing you here how thin the Ultra Bond glue, the nose, or I'm not sure what you would call a spout of the bottle. It's super easy to use because you only get a tiny little bit, and it's so easy to work with when you're placing big elements or very tiny elements, which that's what I use it for, is the little tiny things that I really need that very fine detail. So I'm thinking I have to have something to the right of this kind of cluster with the heart and the flower, and I'm thinking circle. I really think I need to put a circle there, but I don't want to cut a circle. I don't want to find a circle. I'm just kind of, I'm done, but I'm really thinking circle. So just kind of playing it out in my head. Do I want it to go around? Do I want to go to the bottom left? Like, where do I want this circle? And I reach for my EK Success circle. I think it's called a circle. It's not a circle cutter. Maybe it is. I'll have to look it up. But I have had this thing forever and ever and ever, and it has little holes in the middle, and you put your pen or your pencil in, and it has bearings that go around that inner circle part, and it helps you draw a perfect circle. It reminds me so much of the old Spirograph kits that were popular when I was a kid, but I love this thing. It's one tool that I will never, ever, ever in a million years give up out of my stash, because I might not use it all the time, but when I use it, it's perfect. It draws a perfect circle every single time. So I think I'm done. Yep, you can see my little circle there that I drew with my circle. It might be, I'm not sure if it's a circle cutter, because at one point they did make something like this that was a circle cutter, where it came with a specific blade that you would put into those channels and then be able to cut a circle. It might be a circle cutter, but I never had good success with the cutter part, and I just use it with sticking a pencil or a pen and drawing a circle. So I'm almost done. I've decided I want to put a couple very small gems around that circle, right next to the heart on the top, and right next to the heart on the bottom. And then once I put my recipient's name, I will add 3 more to the very far right underneath their name, because that's kind of, again, another trademark of mine, something that I like to do, and I seem to do it on almost every single project I make. Here I am fussing with these little tiny gems because, like I said, they're little buggers. They like to misbehave because they're so teeny tiny. I'm trying to get them stuck down. 3 top, 3 bottom. I already used my Ultra Bond glue and stuck that, or put that on the paper, so I know exactly where I want my little gems to sit. And now I'm using the flip side of my tool and making sure they're positioned. There's my little pickup tool. And I'm looking because I have a little, I'm not sure, I think it's because I keep using the pickup side. It's like it looked like a little hair or part of the pickup tool like shedding itself. And from where I'm looking, it kind of looked like I had an extra gem as I'm picking it up and trying to put it down. And here I've decided that the little flower needs some love. So instead of using the little small gems that I used on the polka dots on the left, I grabbed the biggest gem in my bunch, and it takes up practically the entire center of that flower, but it looks so fantastic, and I'm glad I grabbed it. And as I'm trying to place it down, my tool keeps picking it back up. I think I got a little bit of glue on the end of my placer. So I'm fussing with that a little bit, trying to make sure it stays put. And you can see, yay, we're done. So I'm going to go ahead and I did not outline in black the border strips there. So I'm doing that now because I think it needs to kind of all be uniform, since I outlined the flower, the heart, both the hearts, and then I have that black circle. And we are done. We are done. We're finally done. I'm kind of explaining. I'm going to put my recipient's name on the front. I think I'm going to grab the letter stickers that I'm going to use. Well, I have to find them because I pile everything. I actually just had them in my hand. So, oh, there we go. So there's the card, the envelope on the left, and the card on the right. I know this camera is crappy. You can't really see all the detail, but it's super cute. I love the way that it turned out. The card is not meant to match. It is meant to coordinate. So something that looks good with the envelope. Oh, there's where I'm explaining. I'm going to put my recipient's name with these letter stickers, which coordinate with the paper collection that I used. But yeah, this card is done. I'm super happy with how it turned out. I have these little cutesy stickers. There's one that says sealed with a kiss that I'm probably going to use on the back of the card when once I put everything together and I'm ready to give this to someone. I'm making sure my gems are closed because you don't want to spill those, trust me. So that's it. We are done. Thank you guys so much again for watching, for all of your wonderful comments, for supporting me, for being supportive. Please let me know, like, give me some ideas. What do you want to see next? I've been doing cards lately, but I also do scrapbook pages. I haven't done a scrapbook page in a long time, but it's definitely on my list of things that are next. So appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I hope you've had a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you all again soon. Bye.